Thank you for joining us on the BRTV channel 102. This is Nigeria Watch. Laws of the land. The fact that my friends abroad have to send money to support me. A very good evening to you. Thank you once again for joining us on your evening tonic. The Nigeria Watch TNW is coming to you live from the studios of Bright Television BRTV, and this is your favorite TStv decoder where you are watching us from. So tell your neighbors to tell their neighbors to join us right about now. Tonight, we'll be taking a look at the National Association of Nigerian Students strike, here you can call it that, but more of a protest at this point in time, talking about the ASU strike. The NANS have taken some of the airport and major roads in across the country, so it's a cause of concern. On that note, we shall be talking with the NANS Senate President, talking about Comrade Felix Nalwe. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah,
welcome to Nigeria Watch. We'll be talking a lot more, but before we take the newspaper headlines, your newly inaugurated NANS just took over the streets on Monday morning, taking all of us unawares. What was that all about?
Okay, I think that singular act that was demonstrated by Nigerian students was a show of signal that Nigerian students are tired of being at home. Nigerian students are craving and yearning for their campuses to be opened so that they can return back and have their lectures for once.
But all of these concerns is about the fact that we saw some of the passengers and of course long queues in Lagos and some parts of the country. This is bringing some more untold hardship to commuters.
Yeah, you agree with me that when we talk about protests, a coordinated protest it is entailed that when you have a protest, that people should also feel the inconveniences to make them also understand that there are also critical stakeholders in making sure that the government or the parties that are involved in these whole issues of striking activities to be called on board to make sure the needful is done.
Thank you and welcome back to the show. This is where we're going straight to some newspaper analysis, expecting that Fidel Oyeneke will be joining us any moment from now. Let's take a look at some of the nitty-gritty of this issue. First, it started with the lecturers staying at home, and by tomorrow we shall be expecting what looks like judgment from the court. Is your leadership, NANS leadership, aware of the fact that federal government had to use an alternative means, talking about the court, to see how all of this can be brought to book?
Yes. As a matter of fact, as a leadership, we were in court to get facts and get what is truly happening in regards to the industrial actions and the court proceedings that were held on Friday.
Okay.
Yesterday, there was a redress, and we were also there. And we are believing that by tomorrow, that the leadership of NANS, ably led by Comrade Usman Omar Barambu, as the national president, will lead a delegation that will head to the court in regards to the dispute between ASU and the federal government.
Let's take a look at some of the video footages of what happened, about a few seconds of the visuals of the protest by NANS membership. Some of its members in Lagos, what actually happened. Let's take a look at that. We'll get back to you. Murtala International Airport, where students of members of NANS leadership took a protest to the national airport. But before I get back to the NANS president, Comrade Felix Nalwe, let's see if we can join our analyst to make sense of all of this. But he's not there. Felix, the concern is that you need solutions for all of this situations happening. Do you think this protest will offer any sense of solution?
Yes, of course. We've been getting so many series of calls. We've been also getting some level of critical stakeholders trying to see how they will call us to make sure that we organize our protest in a way that it is not being hijacked by hoodlums. So to some extent, we believe that the impact and the reason why this protest, the directive for this protest was given by the national president, has been achieved.
Okay, we are now being joined by Fidel Onyeneke. Fidel, the situation is that students and, of course, members of the National Association of Nigerian Students yesterday, which I read out to you, blocked the main entrance of the Murtala International Airport in Lagos. Across the country, some other places, highways were also blocked. We're asking, would this end the lingering ASU strike? Is this leading to any solution, Fidel Onyeneke?
Yes, they have the right to make their own protest, but it is not a solution to the problem.
Okay, Fidel, let's also bring you updates to the fact that the Speaker of House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has said the Parliament is committed to doing everything possible to end the lingering crisis between the federal government and the academic staff union of universities. Do you think there's anything the Parliament can do that they should have done before now, and why they waste in time?
The Parliament has not intervened early enough. If they had intervened at the appropriate time, immediately this strike started, I'm telling you that it wouldn't have degenerated to this level. I don't know why they were waiting. Government is made up of the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. You know, it's not only the executive that can make that can handle the issue of strike and other labor matters. The legislature should have shown enough interest. So what they are doing now is what they would have done even 5 months ago. However, it is better late than never. So now that they have intervened, I just pray that ASU will listen to them, and I also pray that the intervention will be sustained so that there will be sincerity in whatever decisions they may have arrived with the leadership of the National Assembly. I believe that National Assembly shouldn't have waited till the students through to the streets before they made this intervention. But let us pray that the intervention will yield the certain results.
Okay, Fidel, I'm going to rejoin you in 5 minutes when we shall be discussing Ojus or Kalu Tondibo. Don't make presidency a regional issue. You'll benefit more if Tinubu wins. So we're going to talk about that in politics when we return after this break, and also have in the studio here with me Comrade Felix Nalwe, who is the Senate president of the Senate, in any case, of National Association of Nigerian Students. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, thank you and welcome back. In case you've just joined us, this is Nigeria Watch, where we're discussing people, economy, politics, and governance. We have Comrade Felix Nalwe. He is the president of the Senate, National Association of Nigerian Students. And we're taking a look at what seems to be a heightened protest. Some people are afraid, like I told you earlier, that we're afraid this can be another NSAS. You talked about control. Control is relative. Look at what happened there at the airport. People have started dancing, and before you say Jack, you can have the whole protest overtaken by hoodlums.
Aso Baba, the video you just saw there is a group of students who are well coordinated and have leadership, who have decided that being given the mandate by Nigerian students 2 weeks ago to take over the leadership of NANS, that the onus is on us to make sure that our campuses are open for students to return back. So dancing is just part of what keeps them going. And we have not seen in any of the videos where people are vandalizing properties or whatsoever. So as far as I'm concerned, my students are well coordinated, my students are responsible, and my students are just ready and are yearning that let our campuses be open so that they can return back to do the needful.
The last time your president was here, talking about Usman Umar Barabu, he also made mention to the fact that your leadership had written to Mr. President to sit on the same table with ASU leadership. How soon is that going to happen?
Some couple of days ago, we saw at the public space where the president met with the Council of Pro-Chancellors, and we gave a nod to it. As a union, we've written to the president in regards to trying to have an interface, him having an interface with the lecturers who are concerned in regards to this issue. And we're yet to get a reply in regards to that. But as a leadership, we've also done some very proactive moves in making sure that we interface with the leadership of ASU and also interface with the federal government at the other end through the Minister of Labor.
Let us be sincere to say that perhaps federal government at one time come up to say they've satisfied about 90% of what seems to be the demands of ASU. Don't you think 90% is a good start for INEC, rather for ASU to have swing into action, open the schools? As
somebody who was part of the delegation that interfaced with both the federal government and ASU, I think that statement that came out that the federal government had been able to met up to 90% of the issues and demands of ASU, I think they are not true. And for me, I think the last time we interfaced with ASU came out outrightly that there have been no negotiation that have been brought on the table on blueprint. That all that have been promised, all that have been said is just verbal. There are verbal promises and all of that. And when we...
So nothing on ground,
nothing on ground, yeah, no documentation. We met with the leadership of ASU. And one of the things that baffled us as a leadership was when we demanded that as a student union, that we also intend to be part of this negotiation. Because when you say some of these issues that you're discussing are
for the benefit
of Nigerian students, and why not allow us to be part of this negotiation so that we will be able to find where the lacunas are, where the gaps are between the federal government and ASU in trying to make sure that we put this issue of striking activities to an end.
But ASU also came out yesterday to say, yes, they backed the protest by NANS. Is that a nod to your leadership and, of course, the NANS nationally to proceed with this? And how long is this protest going to last?
The protest is a well-coordinated activity. The president, Comrade Usman Barabu, has, in his wisdom of leadership, thought it wise to make sure that the yearnings of Nigerian students is being helped, like I earlier said. There is a roll-up schedule of activities in regards to how these protesting activities will go. And I think, to the best of my knowledge, I'm aware that the roll-up has rolled out the schedule of activities in regards to a regional well-coordinated activities, where today NANS having a 6th zone in its way of organigram, that there is need for the zone D, which is the southwest,
okay,
that have coordinated a very peaceful and well-coordinated activity. We will swing into action where zone E, that's the northeast,
okay,
will take over, okay, and also make sure that our voices are heard in that other part of the country too. And then zone B will swing into action, and it will be done in a zonal structure.
Okay.
And then the mother one will come at the end of the whole thing.
We hope the mother one will not consume us.
TStv, connecting your world.
Thank you for joining us on the BRTV channel 102. This is Nigeria Watch. Laws of the land the fact that my friends abroad have to send money to support me.
By now, they can afford to pay the few individuals coming out to vote, and then by that simple majority they've won, and that's not necessary.
I'm here in the studio with the president of the Senate National Association of Nigerian Students, Comrade Felix Nanlue. He is taking a look at what seems to be an abrupt action taken by the leadership to see how the lingering ASU strike can come to an end. And so we woke up on Monday to what seems like a blockade. Some of the major roads, and of course the airport, Lagos, was affected. Talking about Southwest. The other time I spoke with the president about the 2023 elections, one can actually suggest that all of these actions could be politically motivated. Is anybody bankrolling this protest by NANS?
Not at all. You can, from what we have out there in the public space, you will see that these are genuine concerned students who have seen that there is need for them to return back to the class. And I think the last press briefing the president of NANS, Comrade Usman Barabu, had, he had also said that for 2023, one of the major criteria Nigerian students will be putting into consideration is to make sure that we interface with all the aspirants and see whosoever that has a manifesto that makes education a priority. And of course, that our working tool is our PVC.
Okay, when you're talking about, we have the PDP, APC, we know all of these politicians, which we don't want to mention names. Are you saying all of these people do not fit into the description your leadership could jump at?
We have said nobody is discrediting anybody. We have only said that we are going to interface with each and every person individually and as a party to make sure that we understand who is coming with his blueprint on what to offer Nigerians. That education will be part of the things that should be put on the top priority. Because with such policies, Nigerian students will not have to stay at home. Nigerian students will always be very busy, and some of the social vices that are hitting our constituency out there at home will not be what we'll be crying for.
So at this point in time, one can actually say that NANS will be waiting for a time where they will have to perhaps interview each one of the presidential candidates.
Yes, of course. And we believe that that time is, in a very short notice of time, that time is here. And we know that our only power is the PVC. The PVC is that power that we have to decide which of the candidates that we are going to follow.
TStv, connecting your world. TStv, connecting your world.
Thank you and welcome back. In case you've just joined us, this is Nigeria Watch. Let's take you through some of the newspaper headlines. In case you've just joined the show, we brought you a report that from the Punch newspaper, reps working to end ASU strike. Bajabiamila says that's coming from the Punch newspaper. We have this one also. Obaseki loses, INEC recognizes Obihi Edo PDP faction. And from the Vanguard newspaper, Oji Kalu to Ndibo, don't make presidency a regional issue. You'll benefit more if Tinubu wins. And here are some of the pictures from Buhari's daughter-in-law, ZARA's graduation from first class, from a foreign university, though not mentioned here on this report. We have that report from the Vanguard newspaper. We'll bring you details of that, but let me quickly rejoin the President of Senate, National Association of Nigerian Students, Comrade Felix Nanlue. You have the pictures there staring in front of you. Daughter-in-law to President Muhammadu Buhari, just graduated with first class. Though there's been a lot of lambasting on social media saying that at a time like this, this kind of picture shouldn't be viral. But I see this as a personal self-development and success. Is there any restriction to why President Muhammadu Buhari's daughter-in-law shouldn't be graduating from a foreign university?
I think these are pictorial evidences to show that the government has failed to live up to expectations. Because in a time like this, a government that had promised Nigerians and the masses that education will be part of their priority, that for over 7 months students have been at home, and then you see relations and people who are related to the governance of this country being celebrated, graduating abroad. It's not a good omen at all. Also, Baba, I want to tell you, these are part of the reasons why these students feel that there is need for them to continue with their protest in making sure that ASU and federal government come to a drawing table where they will agree for their campuses to be opened.
But there are no laws or restrictions stopping Mr. President from or any of his family members from schooling outside of Nigeria. But before you answer that, let's quickly get rejoined now by Fidel Onyeneke. Fidel, we have pictures of a daughter-in-law of President Muhammadu Buhari, ZARA Buhari, reportedly bagged a degree in architectural science. The 27-year-old who is married to Buhari's son, Yusuf, graduated with a first class, though the university hasn't been mentioned. But I was still speaking with the leadership of NANS, talking about the president of the Senate here in the studio. And he's raised concerns that perhaps the government has failed. What is your opinion on this? I'm saying that Mr. President at no time or his members or relatives are barred from schooling anywhere around the world except Nigeria.
Well, let me first of all congratulate the young person that graduated. But to quickly say that this period of graduation is a very dangerous one for Nigerians. The coincidence is more than dangerous because he is graduating at a time when Nigerian students who may have entered the university before him are spending longer time than necessary as a result of the strike. So I don't know how people will feel about it. But that is not even the issue. The problem is that most of the why we are where we are in our education system today is because Nigerians rely more on educating their children abroad. Apart from our dear president and some other leaders of this country, including the governors, members of the National Assembly and so on, who have most of their children abroad. Members of ASU who are also protesting, some of these lecturers, vice chancellors, pro-chancellors, they also derive joy in sending their children abroad. So even as people are suffering now, even as our students are on at home, many of them are not feeling the pinch as expected. So that's exactly the regrettable aspect of it. But I just feel, and I just hope too, that all these things, this ASU strike and the reaction of people will make the present government and the fact the next administration that we are going to have in this country to think of paying more attention to the education sector, making sure that our institutions are prepared in such a way that students, these incessant strikes and protests will just stop. A situation where people who go abroad or they graduate on record time at the expense of our own people who are here, they wouldn't graduate 5 years, 6 years, courses of 5 years, 4 years, they now stay till 10 years and so on. Such a situation must be changed. If not, we've not gotten it right in this country.
Do you foresee possible legislation for inhibiting politicians from sending their children outside of Nigeria? Do you have your leadership has intention of putting a stop to where a political leader or a politician can send his or her children to in future?
Also, Baba, there are so many bills that we know that in the time past have been passed into the House, that have been sponsored into the House, trying to restrain politicians and public office holders from sending their wards, their relations to study abroad. Because the perception here is that people believe that when you restrain them from studying abroad, that they will make sure that having their relations to study in Nigeria, that they will do everything possible to make sure things work in this country. The willpower will be there, and every desire of making sure that, yes, education is being made priority will be achieved.
So ahead of all of this, what is the downtime for NANS at this point in time? Your leadership just about less than 2 weeks old. Is it too much shoe for you to wear?
Not at all. I think, with all due respect to the leadership of NANS, as people who were elected by over 310 student union presidents that left their various campuses to converge in Abuja to get us into office, we think the onus is on us to make sure that that unions, which is Operation Return Back to our campus, is being guaranteed.
Operation Return Back to the campus is what this leadership of NANS, led by Osman Omar Baramo, is looking towards to. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
President of the Senate, Comrade Felix Nalwe, doing greatly. And that's the size of the show tonight. A very big thank you to all the guys making it happen, touching the buttons. Jerry, the engineer on duty tonight, and Philip, I appreciate you. And of course, the camera and floor manager tonight, Albert. And of course, my production assistant, Bayomi Abomire. My name is Abasi Odu Idion. You can follow me on your social media space at AbsoBaba. Let's do this again tomorrow. God willing. You know I love you. Good night.
Just like Abikemi, nothing else make a brighter day than viewing your favorite playlist and more on your favorite channel.